Hey, my brothers and sisters in time. This is George Alexander, founder, CEO, and chief watch designer of Maison, but also the Black Horologist. And welcome back to the channel. Getting right into it. Last week, posted an episode where we talked about the difference between quartz movements and mechanical movements, and it dawned on me that a lot of you probably don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to movements and, the pieces and parts and the anatomy of a watch. So I was originally going to post an episode talking about different complications within watches, and some of the really cool features that can come in watches. But I think that we're going to move that to next week's episode. What we're going to talk about today is the anatomy of a watch. And to help me present that, I have a watch. Now, this particular watch is one of Maison de Filion's own. This is Pistris Marmore from our Pistris Collection. Shameless plug. Go ahead and pre-order that so we can launch these bad boys. But I wanted to run you through the anatomy of a watch. So when I, in subsequent episodes, talk about, those different parts, you know what I'm talking about. You're not feeling lost. And yeah, you can follow along. So what I'm holding right now, I should probably have my gloves on, as a horologist should, right? But these are my watches. This metal part here that I am holding, for lack of a better term, this is the case. This particular case for Pistris is made of 3/16L stainless steel, hypoallergenic. It's not going to rust. Great for a watch that you're going to wear. Pretty much becoming the industry standard for for even entry-level luxury watches. So if you're looking at a case and that it's stainless steel, make sure it's 3/16L. Then you have this glass here. This is sapphire glass. And we call that the crystal, right? There's mineral crystals, there's sapphire crystals. The main advantage of a sapphire crystal is that it is scratch resistant. For those of you who know the corundum species, which would be sapphire and ruby, sapphire is like a 9 on the Mohs scale of hardness, maybe even a 9.5. It's right under diamond. So there's very few things that are going to scratch sapphire. The ones that would do it would be other sapphires or diamond. And if you're raking, sapphires and diamonds across the glass of your watch, you have bigger problems than than it getting scratched. So moving right along. Now behind the glass, behind the crystal, that's what we call it, the crystal, is what you probably colloquially know as the face of the watch. In the parlance of the profession, parlance of the field, we call that the dial. This particular dial is a stone dial made of howlite. The entire Pistris collection has stone dials. It's something that I found really, really cool, and it helped me to dream when I was, designing this collection. So obviously with a case, you have a case back. In certain timepieces, like especially ones with mechanical movements, now the Pistris collection have quartz movements, and again, I'll explain what a movement is in a minute. In certain ones, especially ones that are mechanical, especially ones that are automatic, if you remember what we talked about last week with an automatic having that rotor, those beautiful rotors there, they'll have sort of an open case back, and you'll be able to see sort of the inner workings of your watch if you flip it over. On here, we just got Maison de Filion logo. Now, when you say dial, you probably thought I meant this little thing that we turn to set the time. No, that's called the crown. There's different types of crown. Just got a regular crown on this. There's screw down crowns, which are especially useful on like dive watches where you need them water sealed, and can't let any moisture get into the inner mechanisms of the watch. So those generally have higher water resistance. So, and then on the dial we have the hands, and we have the markers or indices to show us, what time it is, right? Now, part of the case, we have the lugs. The lugs are going to be what hold the strap of the bracelet on, onto the watch. Strap of the bracelet is what holds the watch onto your wrist. Now here we have a strap. A bracelet, of course, would be the metal version of it, right? This particular strap on this particular model of the Pistris Collection and its twin Pistris Noctis, these are black sharkskin straps, right? Then on that, you got the buckle or the fastener or, the clasp, whatever you've got to fasten the strap or bracelet to your wrist. So now that I've gone through sort of the exterior parts, I definitely want to go through movements and just give you an explanation of what they actually are. I touched on it briefly in last week's episode, but formally, the movement is the heart and soul of your watch. It's what makes you have that time readout. It can be mechanical, like we talked about, where, it has a readout that is powered by a mainspring that is wound, and then its unwinding is what, feeds that energy to the second, the minute, and the hour hand. It can also be quartz, where that's synthetic quartz within this sort of motherboard here is given the impulse from the battery, and it makes it kind of tick. So again, not a super long episode. I'm sure that as we get more into the fun stuff of watches, for lack of a better term, I find this awesome. But I'm sure that a lot of you are here to learn a bit more about the watch brands in general, the watches of the world, the ones that are out there. You want to hear about the Patek Philippe's. You want to hear about the Nautilus. You want to hear about the Audemars Piguet. You want to hear about the Royal Oak. You want to hear about the Rolex. You want to hear about the Submariner, etc. As we get more into those, I at least want to make sure that I've given you a good foundation so that all of this makes sense. So that's really all I got for you guys today. I'm super, super excited to continue to build this community with you. As always, please sound off with any questions or comments or concerns about the anatomy of watches in the comments. Looking forward to talking with you all, and seeing a lot of you start your watch collections. I will never forget a client of mine when I was in retail, saw my tag Formula One. I had gotten one when we were still selling tags. I had gotten one for free, and he told me to wear it in good health. And now that's what I say to everybody when they get a watch that they're super, super excited about. So whether it's a Maison de Filion watch, which I hope it is soon, or whether it's any of the other brands out there, please get you, some watches that you love and wear them in good health. Again, that's really all I've got for you today. We talked about the anatomy of the watch today. Last week, we talked about quartz versus mechanical movements. And before that, we had sort of an introduction. But next week's episode is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to really get into watches, and we're going to talk about the different complications that are available, things that you can expect to see in super high-end timepieces, or even in timepieces that you'll see, every day when you walk into, say, a box jewelry store. So stay tuned. Thank you all so, so much for being here with me. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. And remember to always live life in celestial motion. Bye, guys.